Visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's very simple thing only, no need to get afraid. Okay, so what we have seen in the last class is load carrying capacity, which is we need to find a pile capacity, sorry, pile capacity, which depend on the tip resistance and the soil around that periphery of that one. So both we have to add it. So that's the reason we are finding it. Okay, suppose stress is there, we know the state capacity means stress, then we have to multiply it with the area. Okay, if you get the surface resistance, we multiply with the area. That's what we have done it in the static methods, and we have seen how to kind of find out FSAS. And finally we have we have seen this critical depth. Okay, up to there only the stress is going to increase. After that we assume that constant, and so on. And a similar way we have find out this NC and Q and gamma. Similar way the surface resistance also we found out, and the delta and K values are given for different materials. Okay, likewise we can find out no K tan delta or area of this particular stress diagram, that is which is varying like that from this zero, this one half into base into height you can take it. And perimeter. Okay, saturated, driven. For saturated CNC this term would be there, uh, last term would be zero. For like that we can do it for all the piles, even 100 mm piles, if the bulb diameters are given and so on. And I have shown the also this one, negative screen friction. Have you studied whether we have studied negative screen friction? What I said it is pulling down. Okay, the friction which try to pulls down instead of resisting upward. This soft layer we call it as a negative skin friction. The friction will be positive, but it is acting. It should act reverse, but it is acting downward itself. Okay, with the load. That is called the negative skin friction. And dynamic formulas we have seen it. Okay, depending on the energy and the drop of the hammer and so on. Okay. Now in today's class, that is 26, we'll focus on this group of piles then. Whatever till now we have studied is the on the single pile. Suppose we have a group of piles like this. So this is the group of piles resting on the different piles. So how we have to find out the capacity generally for a group of piles? What we can do is we can find out the whole group capacity or individual capacity. So like that we can find out the efficiency which is better and which is not better. So if I ask you this group capacity depends on what parameter it depends. Can I ask? Can anyone answer? So I know how much you people are following it. So with that, suppose if I ask you the group of capacity depends on what parameter? Can we add individual group piles and we say that this is the group capacity? So it depends on the spacing of the piles. That means we have piles, right? So these piles spacing would be there. So generally two times the diameter, three times the diameter spacing, 2 to 3 times diameter generally we provide. I'm audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm audible, but no much response from your side. Okay, that's fine. I think it's not very difficult. You can read on your own also. This is the group pile, and these are the three piles. The minimum three piles, and we can have 3 by 3 piles also. We can have it. Okay, likewise one. Let me take other ink. Okay. Like we can have one pile, two pile, three pile, one, two, three, and one, two. 3 like that. We can have one box like that over this cap. This is the plan. Okay, so the similar way it is drawn, maybe 3 to 3 by 3 piles. This may be 3 by 3 piles. Okay, 3 by 3 piles. So this pile capacity is we cannot say that. That's why it is efficiency. It is given. The efficiency of the group of pile is defined as the ratio of the ultimate load of the group to the sum of the individual pile. That means sum here n value. Suppose 5 piles are 6 piles are there here now. Multiplied by individual pile capacity QU. This is whole block. The whatever is. So likewise we can determine the group efficiency of a pile. That means whole group pile capacity, considering it as a block or a individual pile multiplied by the number of piles, which will give the efficiency. Okay, so whole block generally, if the piles are very near, that means below, code says if it is below 2.5 times the diameter, then piles are very near. When the piles are very near, what happens? This influence takes place. This is influence. Each one, no, pressure bulb. This is the single pile. If it is made very near, what will happen? So there will be a influence here, formation of the influence. Because of that, what happened? The pile capacity goes down. If the spacing is away, very far away, then what happens? The group efficiency will be equal or even more than the individual piles when you multiply it with the n value. It can be more than 100% also. Okay, if we calculate by this formula, it explains here. The group efficiency depends upon the spacing of the pile. Very important point. It depends on the spacing of the pile. Ideally, the spacing should be such that the efficiency is 100%. That's what our requirement is, right? Because individual piles, when you construct it, when you are getting 100%, group of piles should give the more than 100%. Generally, center to center spacing is between 2.5 B to 3.5 B. B is the pile diameter or a width. Remember, 2.5 to 3.5. Then you will get the 100% efficient. If it is more than, if it is less than this one, then what happens? It reduces. If it is more than, what happens? It may increase capacity. It will behave like a individual pile. Understand? It will behave like a individual pile. Now, how to find the pile capacity of this one? General group of pile, same thing, because pile in a sand or gravel. Either we consider the n-bearing piles, so all individual pile capacity to find out multiply into n, and sometimes in the case of the this one, the efficiency may be greater than 100% than the sum of the individual pile. And how to find out the friction here? We have told that there will be friction at this side. What we have seen that the friction Q is equal to Fs into As. How to find out if Fs this one? As anyway we know that pi into d. Okay, d can be the bigger periphery of the block. That means we have to consider it as a block. Suppose in that case we can find out this. Here they have mentioned here. Okay, Fs into Pgd. What is Fs here? Fs is unit friction. What is the Pgdg? Okay, perimeter of the individual pile and into multiplied by the length. Perimeter multiplied the length, you will get the whole pile length. The friction at the whole pile length. Okay, divided by number of piles plus smaller PD. Okay, perimeter of smaller PD. This is the PG is the group perimeter, block perimeter. This is PG is the smaller perimeter. Likewise, we can find out the efficiency similar way Understood? This is what Fs is the, this is the perimeter area with the particular depth of a block or a individual pile perimeter. Understand? It is very simple only, okay? So, and one more guy, his name is Converse Labyrinth. What he has done is, for a group efficiency, he has given one equation, okay? So, this equation is very important actually. So, some empirical equation he has given, and I have seen this equation they will ask in the GATE exam. Here. They say the converse Laborer equation. Based on that, what is the group of efficiency? They will give n, m, n, whatever, theta, all these things. What is this m? M is the number of rows of the pile. N is the number of piles. Theta is the angle which is given. Where is the b? What is b? The diameter of the pile. What is s? The spacing of the pile. So what you have to do is you have to remember this equation. There is no other way. Okay. So if you want to write competitive exams, GATE or IAS, you have to remember this equation, and they will ask in the competitive exams. Okay. So this is all about this, the driven pile. Driven piles means what we are doing is we are just driving the piles here with the static load only. Okay, not dynamic. So what is board piles? The board pile says the driven pile capacity of board pile capacity would be 2/3 or 3/4 of the driven piles. The board piles in a sand at a conventional spacing of 3, the group capacity is taken at 2/3 to 3/4 times the sum of the individual capacity for both end bearing and the friction pile. That means in the board pile there is a limitation of densification of the sand surrounded by the group, consequently efficiency lower. So what is the reason behind that this board pile will have lesser efficiency? What is the reason why we are taking 2/3 and 3/4?
So because distance is too far.
Board pile compared to board pile. Uh, no, I'm not talking about distance. It's the same distance compared to the driven pile. Why board piles have lesser efficiency? Listen carefully. Compared to driven pile, why board pile will have lesser efficiency? 2/3 or 3/4. Because board pile, what we are doing in the board pile, we are making a hole, digging a bore hole, again putting the concrete, and we are loosening the soil, right? So there is no friction along the periphery. That's what it is mentioned here. In the board pile, there is a limited densification of the sand surrounded of the pile group. So all the points are important. Okay, you read for each point. You should read it. Okay, if you want to write a competitive exams. So just I'm going through it because of limited time what we have. Okay, semester time. But if you give me one full year, so whole thing we can go in much detail. But anyway, now also we are going in detail only. Now this is all the story about the sand. Okay, sand means the friction will at the block will Fs will find out and so on here. Fh we have find out and so on. What about the clay? The clay, the same formula will changes. What is that? Whatever we have seen that alpha C and all. If you remember that one. So for the group of piles, what generally we do? QP, AG is the base of the block plus alpha C. This is the perimeter. PG is the perimeter of the block. This is the depth of the block. And alpha is the adhesion factor. For soft clay, it is taken as the 1 and C is the undrained cohesion. Do you recall these formulas? Please recall these formulas wherever you have seen. Let me check it. 25 slides. We have seen these formulas. This is dynamic plus alpha C, okay, for a clay soil. Yeah, this is sand and this is for the clay. Same thing we are doing it, okay? Same thing we are using it. Only difference is here at the tip we are taking the block, total block, okay? And here the surface we are taking the PG and D. That's the only difference, okay? So likewise, we can find out the individual. Suppose this is the individual, this is the block, and you can calculate the individual and block, and finally you can find out the efficiency. Okay. So likewise, here NC, like in the previous case, NC will take it as 9 here, okay? So what we are doing at the tip we are measuring, and at the surface also we are measuring. Understand? Tip we are measuring, this is for group. Wherever G is there, the G is for group. Okay. So don't confuse. What we are doing is just simply we are taking this Q at the tip, tip or you call tip plus Q at the surface only we are measuring it here. For clay soil alpha C, this is for effective stress. Understand? And lower of this one we generally take. Suppose we find individual, this is finding the individual P, the small p is for individual, okay, and G, all these things is for the group. G is for the group and this is for the individual. Then what we have to say here, the lower value of this one is the actual capacity for a group of piles in a clay soil. Hope you are following. What we are doing, individually we are finding how to find the individual, QU, how to find out QU at the tip, QP, the effective stress, AP, which is the at the tip of a single pile area, single, if it is a circular pi d square by 4, and at the tip AG is the base area, that means block area. It can be like this, block area 3 by 3, okay, here AG. QP is the unit point resistance. Already we have seen this one. For this one, the whole block can be taken, okay? Then plus alpha C for the clay soil, PG is for the perimeter of the block, and D is for the whole depth, like this. Understand? So, so this is all about this, how to find out the ultimate bearing capacity of a group of piles in a sandy soil and a clay soil. For individual pile, 25 class, for a this one 25 class, 26 number. Okay. Now what I will do is before stopping, settlement, how generally we measure it, okay, settlement of a pile group. So with that we can go for a numerical, then you will understand. The settlement of a pile group is due to the elastic shortening of a pile and due to the settlement of a soil supporting the soil. It is assumed that group acts as a single large deep foundation such as a pier, okay. So what happens, uh, or a mat, so whole thing will happen. Now the load is assumed act at the depth equal to two-thirds of the, this point is very important, two-thirds of the pile length in the case of friction piles, and in the case of end bearing piles the load is assumed to act at the pile bearing tip, okay. So in the combination of that the friction, so in the case of combination of action, the friction component will be assumed to act at the two-thirds, and the, let me read it properly. Actually it's not properly, it is curved, right? So here we will start reading from here. The total load is assumed to act at a depth equal to two-thirds the pile length in the case of frictional pile, that is here the photo is showing, okay. That means in the case of uh, the load is assumed to in the case of the frictional pile. Suppose if the pile is frictional, suppose we are applying a load here. Now, when you apply a load, so it is assumed that so whole load will act maximum load, I would say, okay, act at the 2/3. It is very, very important point here. Suppose this is the D, up to here it will act. From there the settlement will take place. This is for friction pile. Okay, for end bearing piles, but suppose the soil is soft here, there won't be any friction here. In that case, the whole whatever load we are applying, suppose 100, same thing 100 kilonewton will be passed to the at the end. But this is not the case here, because friction will take some load, right? So where exactly ultimate load is happening or acting, it says that for a frictional pile, suppose the D is the depth 2/3 of the D. That means here. That's what the meaning is all about. Okay. In the case of end bearing pile, the total load is assumed to act at the pile tips. Suppose in the combination of that, in the case of combination of action, the frictional component is assumed to act at the 2/3, and the end bearing and the end bearing component is at the tip. So both will take it. In the case of the C5 soil, this is only C soil. This is only phi soil. In the case of C5 soil, okay, 5 terms will say that it will act combination of that one. From here, we settlement will measure it. How to measure settlement? Again, there are graphs are given, Mehrab has given, and many things are given. So quickly, I will tell you these formulas, okay, before stopping. So what is that? For a determination of the settlement, the compression characteristic of the soil are required. For a clay soil, the characteristics are determined from the laboratory test on undisturbed sample. For cohesionless soil, the characteristics are obtained from the empirical correlations. Okay, for the cohesionless soil, which are developed by using the in situ penetration. That means by using the N value here. Okay, let us see the Skempton's, this cohesionless soil, the Skempton's method. So what he has given is here, he has given graph between the width of the foundation and this SG by S0. What is this SD? What this Kempton says? The settlement of the group of pile is estimated from the settlement of a single pile. That means from a single pile we can find out. He has given the relation between the single pile and the group of pile. As determined in the pile load test, the settlement of the group of pile is very large because of this pressure bulb. That means a whole pressure bulb will act. Here is the pressure bulb. Understand? So in that case, what he says, because of the pressure bulb, that means much deeper than the single pile. So compared to single pile, definitely the pressure bulb of the group of the block is very high. Skempton in 1953 published a curve which is shown here relating to the settlement of a group of pile SG of a given total foundation width to a single pile. The curve can be used for both the driven and the board pile. That means suppose we know the width is 12 meter. Okay, the settlement is, we know individual settlement. Okay, so SG by SC. Suppose if you know individual settlement, suppose I want to find out the group of settlement, in that case we can use this formula. What Mehrab says is, Mehrab in 1976 suggested the following empirical relation again. For a elastic settlement of a pile in a sand, he has given this equation. All the parameter would be given. What is the Q, B, N and all? N must be uh, standard penetration number. Q he has given. Okay, what is the B? Width of the group he has given. I is the influence factor, and influence factor formulas are given, and it will be more than 0.5 and so on. All these parameters would be given, and by using that we can find out the settlement of a group. Similarly, one more formula is given. If the static cone resistance are available, if n value is available, we can use this formula. Suppose cone penetrations values are there, we can use these formulas. So remember this formula. Sometimes they will ask in the competitive exams. Okay, average cone resistance they will give, influence factor values they give, QC they may give, and width of the block, this one they will give, and the Q also they may give. Then they will ask you to find out the SZ. This is the story for the sandy soil. For clay soil again, there is the different story for clay soil. So clay soil, remember those formulas, okay? Same formulas we can use it, whatever we are used for the consolidation. So consolidation settlement of a group of oil can be estimated, determined using the procedure discussed in the previous chapter. How did we find out this settlement? Generally, by using this consolidation formula, generally, if the load in the ratio of 2:1 load distribution is there, the load distribution, if you see here, 2:1. Okay, so what it is given at the is assumed that the level at which the load acts sometimes, okay, let me rub this one. The load is assumed to spread outward from the edge of the block at an angle of 30 degrees to the vertical. For 2:1 distribution, the stress increment at the middle each of the layer is calculated in the previous chapter. That means if you recall those chapters, okay, these formulas, where did you see these formulas? Can anyone tell? If you are reading Bushnell's theory, Westergaard's theory, if you recall, okay, increasing the stress. How do you find increasing the stress? At a, suppose we have a soil, tip soil or group of foundation in a different layer. How to find out this increasing the stress? By using Bushnell's Westergaard's theory. Westergaard's theory is used for layer soil. Bushnell's theory is used for point load. Okay, so same formulas. What we'll do is we'll find out this particular increasing the stress. Why we are finding this increasing stress here? If you recall, where generally been used increasing stress, we use in our consolidation equation. Understand? So where Z is the distance from the level. So this is about this equation they are deriving, and finally by using the chapter we can find out delta S. This equation already you know it. Okay, so delta S by HI equal this one, and finally we can use this equation once we know the initial void ratio, increasing the stress, and this the stress at the bottom of the particular layer, the total consolidation settlement can be find out. So we use this consolidation theory, remember, to find out the settlement for a group of piles once we know the all the data, but at what depth we need it. Okay, by knowing this one we can find out the general settlements. Okay, so sharing up pile load I think may not be important for you. This eccentricity already you might have studied. Okay, this in addition to this one we will get these parameters. We have already seen this one. When load is applied at some eccentricity, okay, so what will happen to that ultimate capacity? So the sharing of loads pile in a group. However, if the load is, suppose the load is applied without any eccentricity, then no problem. If it is with eccentricity, what we'll do? There may be plus or minus. Okay, so tension piles are not there in this particular your this one. Okay, next time what we'll do is when you come to next class, we'll go some numerical, then only we'll understand what I'm teaching it. Okay, so with that we'll stop today. Just I am just saving this PPT and I will upload it. So don't get panic with this one. These are very simple equations only. Some empirical equations are there. Some equations are like uh, derived. So derived equations are nothing but what we are doing is the tip and the surface. Tip and the surface. If you understand two things in the this particular chapter, your whole